The black Rolls-Royce Phantom screeched to a sudden stop in the middle of the busy Lagos Expressway. Horns blared from behind, pedestrians shouted in surprise, and street hawkers froze mid-transaction. Inside the car sat Kiri Kinney, Ifranit Honamani, a handsome young billionaire known for his arrogance and ruthless business empire. But at that moment, his sharp eyes were fixed on something, or rather someone, through the tinted glass. Just ahead, under the scorching sun, sat a young woman in tattered clothes by the roadside. Her hair was tied carelessly with a faded scarf, her hands dusty from holding a worn-out begging bowl. But what caught Ethan's attention wasn't her poverty. It was her face. Even covered in sweat and dirt, she had a kind of rare, quiet beauty that pierced through his pride. Her eyes, deep and haunting, held a mystery that pulled him in. Without warning, Ethan stepped out of the car. His driver and security guard panicked. "Sir, what are you doing? It's not safe here." But Ethan ignored them, his gaze locked on the young woman. The woman looked up as he approached. People began to whisper, some recognizing the billionaire instantly. "Isn't that Ethan Cole, the owner of Cole Holdings? What's he doing talking to a beggar?" Ethan crouched down in front of her, his designer shoes inches from the dusty ground. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She blinked, startled by his voice. I'm Amara," she stammered. He smiled faintly. "You shouldn't be here. Come with me. Let me help you." The bystanders gasped. A billionaire offering his hand to a beggar? Cameras flashed. Social media would explode within minutes. But Amara hesitated. Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. Fear, pride, or perhaps a secret she wasn't ready to share. "You don't know me," she murmured. Ethan's tone was calm but firm. "Maybe not yet, but I want to." That moment changed everything. As his driver reluctantly opened the car door, Amara stood slowly, clutching her bowl. The beggar girl climbed into a car, worth more than everything she had ever touched. The crowd cheered, some mocking, others in disbelief. But none of them knew. Ethan had just fallen in love with a woman who was not who she appeared to be. Hours later, at the rooftop of the Cole Towers, Ethan poured Amara a glass of water and asked again, "Where's your family? Why are you out there begging?" Amara looked away, tears glistening in her eyes. "They're gone," she said softly. "Life hasn't been kind." Ethan studied her face, noticing the trace of sadness that seemed too complex for a mere beggar. "I can change that," he said, smiling. "Stay here. I'll make sure you never go hungry again." Amara hesitated, torn between gratitude and fear. If only he knew who she truly was. The daughter of a late oil magnate, the sole heir to billions, hidden away after her father's mysterious death. For now she had chosen to live among the poor, disguised, watching those who had stolen her inheritance. But this was unexpected. A man like Ethan, offering her kindness, not knowing she was wealthier than him. As she lay in the guest room that night, staring at the ceiling, Amara whispered to herself, "What are you doing, Amara? If he finds out the truth..." Her heart raced. Ethan Cole was powerful and dangerous when deceived. But it was too late. The world already saw them together. The story had begun. The next morning, Ethan's company made headlines. "Billionaire saves beggar from the streets, romance or charity." The press flooded the building, and Amara became an overnight mystery. Ethan smiled proudly, defending her against the public's mockery. But behind that charming smile, he couldn't shake one thought. Who exactly is she? And as fate would have it, Amara's secret was far bigger and deadlier than anyone could imagine. What happens when love meets lies, when truth shatters a fairy tale? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. Ethan Cole sat in his office the next morning, staring out at the skyline of Lagos. His phone buzzed nonstop with calls from journalists, business partners, and gossip bloggers. But he ignored them all. He wasn't used to caring what people thought. Until now. Until her. Across town, Amara stood by the balcony of the luxury suite Ethan had given her, wearing a simple white dress he'd bought that morning. The city lights glittered like scattered stars below her, but she felt none of their beauty. Her heart was heavy with guilt. Every gesture of kindness from Ethan made her secret harder to carry. He thought she was a helpless beggar. He didn't know she had once sat on the board of one of the richest oil firms in West Africa. He didn't know she had once been called Princess Amara Ease of Easy Oil Group. That name was supposed to be dead. When her father, Chief Ease, had mysteriously died in a supposed car accident, her uncle took over everything: companies, estates, and accounts. Her inheritance was stolen, her life threatened. She escaped, disguising herself as a roadside beggar to stay alive. But now for the first time someone had seen her, not as a pawn or a target, but as a person, and that terrified her. Ethan's voice broke her thoughts. "You're quiet again," he said, walking toward her. He was dressed casually for once. Simple jeans, white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, but his confidence filled the room. "You don't have to be afraid here. You're safe with me." Amara turned to him, her voice trembling. "Why are you helping me, Ethan? You don't even know me." He smiled, leaning against the railing. "Maybe I don't need to. Sometimes you just meet someone and, you know." She laughed softly, shaking her head. "You sound like a dreamer." "Maybe I am," he replied, "but I know I want to see you happy." Ethan reached into his pocket and handed her a small velvet box. Amara frowned. "What's this?" "Open it," he said. Inside was a delicate gold bracelet with a diamond charm. "It reminded me of you," he said. Her hands shook slightly as she held it. It was nearly identical to the one her father had gifted her on her 18th birthday, the one stolen by her uncle's men. For a split second, she froze. Could this be? No, it couldn't. She forced a smile to hide her panic. "It's beautiful," she whispered. He smiled. "Then it belongs to you." That evening, Ethan took Amara to a charity gala at the Hilton. The entire city buzzed with curiosity. The billionaire and the beggar. Photographers swarmed them as they stepped out of the car. Amara's transformation stunned everyone. Her radiant smile, her poise. It was as if she belonged among the elite. And deep down she did. "Ethan," whispered one of his business associates, eyeing her suspiciously. "You sure you know who she is? People are saying strange things about her." Ethan's jaw tightened. "She's with me. That's all that matters." But even as he said it, he noticed something strange. A man in the crowd had been watching Amara too closely, his stare filled with recognition. Amara noticed him too, and her face went pale. "Are you okay?" Ethan asked quickly. She forced a smile. "Yes, I just need a little air." She excused herself and hurried to the restroom. Her pulse raced as she locked the door behind her. That man, she knew him. He used to work for her uncle. If he recognized her, everything would unravel. The fake life, the safety, even Ethan's trust. She leaned on the sink, whispering, "Not now, please. Not now." When she stepped back out, the man was gone. But so was her peace of mind. Later that night, back in the car, Ethan turned to her. "You've been nervous all evening. Is there something you're not telling me?" Amara swallowed hard. "No, I'm just tired." He studied her face for a long moment. "Amara, whoever hurt you before, they can't reach you now. I promise." She nodded silently, her eyes glistening. But inside she knew. Her past wasn't done with her yet. And if the truth came out, it wouldn't just destroy her. It could destroy him, too. The car drove off into the quiet night. But unseen by both of them, a black SUV followed closely behind. Inside sat the same man from the gala, speaking into a phone. "I found her. The girl your brother's been searching for. She's alive and living with Ethan Cole. The past she ran from had just caught up with her." Have you ever seen love cross such impossible lines before? What would you do if your secret could ruin someone who loves you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. The next morning, Ethan woke up to the sound of birds and sunlight streaming through his penthouse windows. But Amara's room was empty. Her bed was untouched, her phone gone, and her clothes missing. Panic seized him immediately. He called his driver, his security, even the hotel staff. No one had seen her since the night before. For the first time in years, the billionaire who controlled half of Lagos felt powerless. "Find her," he ordered his head of security, pacing furiously. Check every CCTV, every hospital, every corner of this city. I want her found before sunset. Meanwhile, Amara sat alone at the bus terminal, hidden beneath a scarf and oversized sunglasses. She couldn't let Ethan get dragged into her world, not when her uncle's men had found her. She had spent years in hiding, changing names, sleeping on church floors, disguising herself as a beggar to stay invisible. But now, by falling for Ethan, she had broken her own rule. Never be seen. She stared at the bracelet he'd given her, turning it over in her hand. It really was her father's. She noticed tiny initials on the back. EE, East Sea Enterprises. Her throat tightened. If Ethan had somehow found this bracelet, then her uncle was closer than she thought. He was watching. A voice startled her. Madam Amara? She froze. It was the man from the gala, the one who'd been watching her. He was standing a few feet away, hands raised as if not to scare her. Please don't run, he said softly. I don't work for your uncle anymore. Her eyes narrowed. Then why are you following me? I was paid to, he confessed, but when I realized who you were, I couldn't do it. Your uncle has been trying to track you for years. He's desperate. He thinks you know where your father's hidden accounts are. Her heart pounded. I don't have them. I don't even want the money. I just want peace. The man looked around nervously. Then you should leave Lagos, tonight, before it's too late. Amara glanced toward the street, where Ethan's security convoys were already fanning out. He was looking for her. Her heart twisted painfully. I can't drag him into this, she whispered. The man handed her a phone. If you want to warn him, use this. But after that, disappear. By noon, Ethan's men found the footage. Amara boarding a commercial bus heading toward the outskirts of Lagos. He drove himself there, ignoring his driver's pleas. The sun was scorching when he finally found her sitting by the roadside under a mango tree, the same spot where he'd met her for the first time. She looked up as his car pulled over. Why did you leave? He demanded, stepping out of the car. You just vanished. You think I wouldn't come after you? Her eyes filled with tears. Ethan, please. You don't understand. Then make me understand. His voice cracked with frustration. You think I care where you came from? You think I'll stop loving you if I find out your past? She shook her head, trembling. It's not about love. It's about danger. If you stay close to me, you'll get hurt. Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice. Then let me face it with you. Amara turned away, biting her lip to stop herself from crying. You're too good, Ethan. You don't deserve this. Maybe not, he said quietly. But I choose you anyway. Her defenses shattered. She fell into his arms, sobbing. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying, he replied. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. For the first time, she believed him. But just as they pulled apart, a gunshot shattered the moment. Ethan spun around, shielding Amara instinctively. His security detail rushed out, drawing weapons. A black SUV roared toward them, its windows tinted, bullets cracking through the air. Get down, Ethan shouted, pulling Amara to the ground. One of the guards fired back. Tires screeched, engines roared, and the attackers sped away as suddenly as they came, leaving behind the sound of chaos and the faint smell of burnt rubber. Ethan's heart pounded as he helped Amara to her feet. Now will you tell me the truth? He said, his voice trembling with anger and fear. She looked at him, eyes wide with guilt and sorrow. Ethan, I'm not who you think I am. He clenched his jaw. Then who are you? Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered, I'm Amara Ease, the missing daughter of Chief Ease, the woman your company once tried to buy out. Ethan froze. His entire world tilted. The name Eze was not just familiar. It was the name of the rival empire that had once stood toe-to-toe with his father's company before its mysterious collapse. Eze? He repeated, his voice low. That's impossible. Eze Oil Group vanished 10 years ago. She nodded. Because my uncle made it happen, and now he wants me dead. The truth hit him like lightning. The beggar he'd fallen in love with wasn't poor at all. She was one of the most powerful women in Africa, hiding in plain sight. But before he could speak, his phone rang. An unknown number flashed on the screen. He answered cautiously. A deep voice on the other end said, "If you value your life, Mr. Cole, stay away from her." Then the line went dead. Danger, secrets, and forbidden love. What happens when truth collides with power? Share your thoughts below. What would you do if you fell in love with someone hiding a $1 billion secret? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next twist in this unbelievable story. The world suddenly felt smaller, darker, and far more dangerous than Ethan Cole had ever imagined. He stood silently beside Amara in the dimly lit penthouse, the weight of her confession pressing down on both of them. The truth had changed everything, yet at the same time, it explained so much. Amara's calm eyes hid oceans of pain. "Now you know why I had to disappear," she said quietly. "Every person who ever tried to help me ended up hurt, or worse. My uncle doesn't forgive betrayal, and he doesn't miss his targets." Ethan leaned forward, his voice low and intense. "You think I'm afraid of him? I've faced men like him all my life." She looked up at him. "Not like him. My uncle isn't just ruthless, he's connected. Police, politicians, even your business rivals answer to him." "Then let him come," Ethan snapped, "because if he touches you, I'll destroy everything he's built." For a moment, Amara saw a flash of the man he truly was, the relentless fighter who built an empire from nothing, who had stared down corruption, competitors, and chaos in a city that devoured the weak. He wasn't just a rich man, he was dangerous in his own way. But she also saw something else in his eyes. Love, the kind that terrified her. "Ethan," she whispered, "you don't even know the worst part." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She took a deep breath. "Your company, Cole Holdings, was part of the plan that destroyed my father's. The merger that bankrupted Easy Oil was signed under your late father's name. I've spent years hating that name." The air went still. Ethan's hands dropped to his sides. "My father?" he repeated slowly. Amara nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, your father's deal killed my family's legacy, and now I've fallen for his son." The silence that followed was unbearable. Ethan turned away, his reflection staring back at him through the tall windows. Broken, conflicted, human. He finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "So you came into my life by accident?" "No," she said, shaking her head. "I didn't know who you were until it was too late. And now I don't know what to do," she admitted. Ethan turned back to her, emotion raw in his eyes. "Then don't run again. If fate wanted us to meet, maybe it's for a reason." Later that night, as Lagos city lights shimmered below, Ethan's phone buzzed again, an encrypted message from an unknown number. "You were warned. Leave her, or your empire will burn." He didn't reply. Instead, he showed it to Amara. She gasped. "It's him, my uncle." Ethan clenched his jaw. "Then he's already watching us." He turned toward the large glass doors, staring out into the dark skyline. "If he wants a war," he murmured, "I'll give him one." But what neither of them noticed was a figure standing in the shadows across the street, camera in hand, recording everything. A man in a black coat, face partially hidden, whispered into an earpiece. "They're together." She told him everything. A cold voice replied, "Good, now we know where to strike." The next morning, Ethan arranged a meeting with his lawyer and security director. "Lock down the building. No one gets in or out without clearance. I want surveillance doubled." His lawyer frowned. "Ethan, if this is connected to the Ease Oil case, reopening it could expose your company too." Ethan slammed his palm on the desk. "I don't care. I'm not hiding behind my father's sins. If my family wronged hers, I'll fix it, even if it costs me everything." Amara overheard him from the doorway, her heart swelling and breaking at the same time. For the first time in years, someone was willing to stand with her instead of run away. But deep inside, she feared what it would cost him. That night, she sat by his bedside as he slept, whispering softly, "You're risking too much for me, Ethan." Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A new message. "If you love him, leave before midnight, or he dies." Amara's breath caught. Her uncle's threats were never empty. She knew what he was capable of. Her fingers trembled as she typed back, "Please don't hurt him. I'll do what you want." The reply came instantly. "Good. Be gone before sunrise." She looked at Ethan, his peaceful face unaware of the storm about to break. Her tears fell quietly as she touched his hand one last time. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Forgive me." Before dawn, she slipped out silently, disappearing once more into the night, just as she had years ago. By the time Ethan woke up, she was gone again. Her bracelet lay on the table beside a handwritten note. "Don't look for me. This is the only way to save you." He read it over and over, his chest tightening. "No, Amara," he murmured. "You're not running this time." Outside, the city was already waking. But somewhere in the shadows, Amara's uncle smiled coldly, watching everything unfold exactly as he planned. What would you have done if you were Amara? Leave to save him, or stay and fight beside him? Comment your answer below. And if you're loving this story, make sure you hit the like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe for the next. You won't believe what happens next. Perfect. I'll make sure each remaining chapter, 5-7, is around 700 words, keeping the same cinematic, emotional, and suspenseful tone, with realistic dialogue, smooth pacing, and a YouTube-ready narration flow. Let's continue the story from where it left off. Amara has disappeared again, and Ethan wakes up to find only her note. Ethan Cole sat motionless at the edge of his bed, the morning light spilling across the floor like liquid gold. The note trembled in his hand. "Don't look for me. This is the only way to save you." For a man who could buy almost anything in the world, those few words were a cruel reminder that not everything was within his control. His phone buzzed nonstop. Reporters wanted statements, investors were panicking, and board members demanded answers about the security attack. But Ethan didn't care about any of it. He cared only about one thing: finding Amara. He walked to the window, his reflection staring back at him like a ghost. "You think I'll just let you go again?" he muttered. "Not this time." Moments later, he stormed into his control room, a sleek space filled with monitors, surveillance feeds, and an emergency operations team. "Track her," he ordered. His head of security hesitated. "Sir, she left her phone behind. No GPS, no credit card activity." "Then find something else," Ethan barked. "Cameras, toll booths, airports. I don't care what it takes." He turned away, gripping the bracelet Amara had once worn, the one with her father's initials, EE, etched beneath the charm. That small piece of gold now meant more than every diamond in his penthouse. Across town, Amara stood at the back of a crowded church, her scarf pulled low over her face. She had left everything behind: her clothes, her new life, her fragile happiness. The only thing she carried was guilt. She whispered under her breath, "God, please protect him. Don't let my uncle hurt him because of me." But deep down, she knew her uncle was not a man who gave mercy. Chief Obenaizi, her father's brother, was the kind of man who smiled while giving orders that destroyed lives. He had once ruled their family's oil empire with an iron fist after her father's death. To the public, he was a philanthropist. To those who knew him privately, he was a shadow king. Ruthless, calculated, feared. As Amara prayed, her phone, the one the mysterious man had given her, buzzed inside her pocket. A message flashed across the screen. "We have eyes everywhere. Don't test us. Come to the old refinery at 6 p.m. Her heart sank. She recognized the location immediately. Her father's old oil plant, long abandoned after the accident. It was the last place she wanted to return to, yet the only place her uncle would dare meet her unseen. Meanwhile, Ethan sat in a black SUV, eyes glued to the city map. His security chief returned. "We found something, sir. Street footage near Okoye Bridge." She boarded a taxi heading toward the outskirts. Ethan's pulse quickened. "Send the coordinates. I'm going." "Sir," his driver protested, "you're walking straight into danger." Ethan's expression hardened. "Then I'll walk through it." By sunset, the old refinery stood like a rusted beast against the fading sky, its giant tanks and broken pipes whispering the ghosts of the past. Amara arrived alone, her heart thudding with fear. A black Mercedes waited inside the compound. From it stepped a tall, gray-haired man in a white agbada, gold-rimmed glasses glinting in the dying light. His smile was calm but chilling. "Amara," he said softly, "my beautiful niece, you've grown." She trembled but held her ground. "Why are you doing this, uncle? You already have everything. The money, the company, the power." "Because you were supposed to disappear," he interrupted coldly. "But instead you've become a weakness, a story, a scandal." "You killed my father," she accused, her voice breaking, "and you'll never get away with it." He smirked. "You think anyone cares about the truth? You're a ghost, my dear, and soon you'll be gone again." Just then headlights cut through the darkness. Ethan's SUV screeched into the compound. Guards turned their guns immediately, but Ethan stepped out fearlessly. "Let her go," he commanded. Her uncle's expression darkened. "Ah, the famous Ethan Cole. You should have stayed in your golden tower." Ethan took a step forward. "I'm not leaving without her," her uncle chuckled. "Then you'll both stay here, forever." A gun cocked. Amara screamed. But before the first shot rang, Ethan tackled her to the ground, pulling her behind an oil drum. Bullets shattered glass and metal. Chaos erupted. His men returned fire from outside the gates. The night filled with smoke, noise, and fear. "Ethan, why did you come?" she cried. He grabbed her hand tightly. "Because I wasn't going to lose you again." As the gunfire faded, a sudden explosion tore through one of the fuel pipes. Flames rose, lighting the compound in a terrifying glow. Her uncle's car exploded, throwing debris into the air. When the smoke cleared, the old man was gone. Ethan and Amara stumbled out, coughing, covered in ash but alive. He looked at her, voice rough. "You're safe now." But she shook her head. "No, he's not dead. A man like that never dies so easily." Ethan glanced back at the burning refinery, realizing she was right. Somewhere in the shadows, her uncle was still watching, and their story wasn't over yet. If you were Ethan, would you have risked everything for love or walked away to stay alive? Comment your answer below. And if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who loves gripping African tales of love, danger, and destiny. The refinery burned long into the night, its flames licking the sky as sirens wailed in the distance. Ethan's security team arrived too late to find Amara's uncle. He had vanished, leaving behind nothing but chaos and smoke. For the first time, Ethan realized the scale of what they were up against. This wasn't a business feud. It was war. Amara sat silently in the back seat of Ethan's car as they drove away from the scene, her body trembling though she tried to hide it. Her once fierce composure had cracked. She looked like someone caught between relief and despair. Ethan glanced at her through the rearview mirror, guilt shadowing his face. "You shouldn't have been there," he said finally, his voice low but steady. "You could have died." She looked up, her eyes glistening in the dark. "You think I don't know that? I've been running from death for years, Ethan. Every day I wake up wondering if it's my last. I'm tired of being afraid." He sighed, gripping the steering wheel tighter. "Then stop running. Let me help you fight." The car slowed as they approached the gates of his private villa in Lekki, a sprawling estate surrounded by high fences and guards. Once inside, Amara stepped out, looking around the compound with weary eyes. The night air smelled faintly of burnt oil and sea breeze. Ethan reached for her hand. "You're safe here, I promise." But Amara shook her head softly. "No one's ever truly safe from a man like my uncle. He'll find us again. He always does." He turned to face her fully, his voice sharp with determination. "Then let him. I'll be ready this time." Hours later, after the doctors treated their minor injuries, Ethan called an emergency meeting in his study. His lawyer, head of security, and financial director sat around the mahogany table, tense and uneasy. Ethan stood by the window, staring out at the waves crashing against the shore. "Obinna-Ease is alive," he said grimly, "and he's after her, not just for family reasons. There's something more, something my father was involved in." His lawyer cleared his throat. "Sir, Reopening that case could expose illegal transactions from the old Cole's merger. It might destroy your company's reputation. Ethan turned, eyes blazing. Then let it burn. I'm not protecting lies anymore. Not if it costs her life. Amara stood silently in the corner, wrapped in one of Ethan's oversized shirts, listening to every word. For a moment she saw her father's spirit in Ethan, brave, unyielding, and willing to risk everything for the truth. She stepped forward. My father kept documents, proof of my uncle's crimes, but they were hidden years ago. Ethan frowned. Where? Her voice trembled. In a safe beneath his old office, inside the East Tower. It's still under my uncle's control. The room fell silent. Ethan's security chief shook his head. That place is locked tighter than a vault. Armed men, surveillance everywhere. Ethan's lips curved into a hard smile. Then we'll go in quietly. Amara stared at him in disbelief. You're planning to break into my uncle's tower? He nodded without hesitation. Yes, if that's where the truth is, that's where we'll go. The next night, Lagos glittered with the calm beauty of deception. While the city slept, Ethan and Amara moved like shadows through the back entrance of East Tower. Dressed in black, faces masked, they bypassed cameras with the help of Ethan's tech expert. Inside, the building was eerily quiet, the marble floors echoing beneath their steps. Amara led the way to her father's old office on the 15th floor. He used to say this office was his heart, she whispered. Now it feels like a tomb. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. We'll bring it back to life. They found the safe hidden behind a framed portrait of her father. The keypad was old but sophisticated. Amara knelt beside it, her fingers shaking. He used to let me type in the code as a little girl, she murmured. It's my birthday. She entered the numbers slowly, 082397, and the safe clicked open. Inside were stacks of documents, USB drives, and one small black ledger embossed with gold initials. EE. Ethan pulled it out and flipped through the pages. His eyes widened. This is proof of everything. Bribes, offshore transfers, fake mergers. Your uncle stole billions. Amara nodded, tears spilling freely. It's enough to destroy him. But before they could celebrate, a voice echoed from behind them. I wouldn't touch that if I were you. They froze. Her uncle stepped out of the shadows, flanked by armed guards. His smirk was as cold as the steel barrels pointed at them. Did you really think you could outsmart me, my dear niece? He said, his tone almost amused. You disappoint me. Ethan moved in front of Amara instinctively. You'll have to go through me first. Obina chuckled. Gladly. He raised his hand and a guard struck Ethan across the face with the butt of a rifle, knocking him to the floor. Amara screamed, struggling as another guard grabbed her arm. Don't hurt him, she cried. Her uncle sneered. He made the mistake of loving you, and that, my dear, is a very costly mistake. He turned to his men. Take them both downstairs. We'll finish this properly. As they were dragged toward the elevator, Ethan's bloodied hand slipped into his pocket, pressing a tiny tracker button. Somewhere outside, his team received the signal, their exact location. The fight wasn't over yet. Would you have risked sneaking into enemy territory for the one you love? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who loves dramatic twists and unforgettable love stories. The elevator doors slid shut with a metallic clang, sealing Ethan and Amara inside with 3 armed guards. The car descended slowly, the hum of the machinery echoing like a countdown. Ethan's face was bruised, a streak of blood at the corner of his lip, but his eyes burned with defiance. Amara's hands trembled as one of the guards gripped her shoulder tightly. Where are you taking us? She demanded. The guard gave a cold smile. Orders from the boss. He wants to make an example of you both. Ethan lifted his head, forcing a smirk despite the pain. Tell your boss he picked the wrong people to mess with. As the elevator neared the basement level, Ethan shifted slightly, pressing his thumb against the small button hidden in his jacket pocket. The tracker he'd activated moments before. The device pulsed silently, sending his coordinates to his private security team waiting 2 blocks away. When the doors opened, the guards shoved them into a wide, dimly lit warehouse beneath the tower. a place once used to store barrels of oil, now turned into a secret lair. Amara's uncle, Chief Obina, stood beside a table lined with files, whiskey glasses, and a pistol gleaming under a single hanging bulb. He smiled when he saw them. "I must say, you two make quite the pair. Beauty and foolishness. A perfect match." Amara glared at him. "You won't get away with this, uncle. The world will know the truth. We have the proof." He chuckled softly. "Oh, you mean this proof?" He reached behind him and held up the black ledger Ethan had risked his life to retrieve. "You really think I didn't see this coming?" Ethan's heart sank. He hadn't noticed when one of the guards had snatched it from his hand. Obina flipped the book open casually, then poured whiskey over it. "All your evidence. Worthless now." With a flick of his lighter, flames devoured the pages. Amara screamed, "No!" and tried to rush forward, but one of the guards held her back. The smell of burning paper filled the air as the only tangible record of her father's legacy turned to ash before her eyes. Obina stepped closer, towering over her. "You should have stayed hidden, my dear. You were born into wealth, but never learned how power truly works. Power isn't inherited, it's taken." Ethan, still kneeling on the ground, raised his head slowly. "You're right about one thing," he said through gritted teeth. "Power is taken." Then in one swift motion, he grabbed a loose metal rod lying beside him and swung it hard into the nearest guard's leg. The man dropped his gun and Ethan lunged, tackling him to the floor. The room erupted into chaos. Another guard fired, but the bullet ricocheted off a metal beam. "Run, Amara!" Ethan shouted. She hesitated for half a second before slamming her elbow into the man restraining her. She darted toward the exit, but Obina grabbed her by the arm, twisting it painfully. "You're not going anywhere," he growled. "Let her go!" Ethan roared, charging forward. The two men collided, crashing into the table. The pistol clattered to the floor. Obina, though older, fought with brutal strength. He shoved Ethan backward and reached for the gun, but Amara kicked it away, sending it skidding across the concrete. Outside, the sound of sirens grew louder. Ethan's team had traced the signal. Obina turned furious. "You called them?" Ethan wiped blood from his lip, grinning through the pain. "I told you, I don't lose." Before Obina could react, the doors burst open and armed security stormed in. "Drop your weapon," one shouted. The old man froze, glancing from Ethan to Amara. For a moment, his arrogance cracked, replaced by the cold realization that his empire was crumbling. But instead of surrendering, he lunged toward Amara, pulling a knife from his robe. "If I'm going down, she goes with me." The room froze in horror until a single gunshot echoed. Obina staggered, eyes wide, the knife falling from his hand. He looked down at the blood spreading across his chest. Behind him, one of Ethan's security officers lowered his weapon. The old man's last words came out as a rasp. You're just like your father." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "No," she whispered. "He was nothing like you." Obina collapsed to the ground, lifeless. The nightmare was finally over. Days later, the morning sun rose gently over Lagos, bathing the city in gold. Reporters crowded outside Cole Holdings Tower, their voices buzzing with headlines. "Truth exposed, billionaires' hidden ties to corruption uncovered." Amara Ease, the forgotten heiress, reclaims her legacy. Ethan and Amara stood side by side during the press conference. The surviving digital backups of the ledger, recovered by Ethan's team, had exposed her uncle's entire network. Justice had been served. When the camera stopped flashing, Amara turned to Ethan. "You lost millions because of me," she said quietly. "Your company took the hit." He smiled softly. "Money comes back. People don't. I'd rather lose everything than lose you." She looked down, emotion thick in her voice. "You really mean that?" He took her hand gently. "I didn't fall in love with a beggar. I fell in love with the woman behind the disguise. The one brave enough to start again." She laughed through her tears. "You realize you fell in love with a billionaire pretending to be poor, right?" He grinned. "Guess that makes us even." They both looked out over the city. Two souls who had been broken, reborn through fire, and found love in the ashes. Ethan whispered, So what now? Amara smiled. Now we rebuild, not from money, from truth. As the wind carried their laughter across the skyline, the story of the beggar and the billionaire came full circle, not as a tale of wealth, but of courage, forgiveness, and love that defied every boundary. What did you think of this story's ending? Do you believe love can truly conquer power and secrets? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who believes in second chances. Because this story proves that sometimes, even the most broken hearts can build empires together.